المؤمنين فاعتبروا يا أولي الأبصار. Alhamdulillah, all the praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator and the sustainer of all things. And may the peace and blessings of Allah be on all of His prophets, from Adam to Muhammad alayhimu salatu wassalam. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. As we all observe different events around the world that are remarkable, and they're precursors for World War III, a global war where so many countries are fighting other countries. It is hard to miss how much violence and war is going on around the globe. And it is very difficult also to miss the alignments in the East and the West between Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and others versus the NATO alliance and others. And we notice that a lot of that conflict happens through proxy wars on Muslim lands, like what's happening in Sudan and Yemen and Syria and other places. And the big question that we have for ourselves is, where is our role and what are we doing? Muslims, over 2 billion in this world, are fragmented, and they are being used by these sides against one another. Just like in Sudan, they are split into two groups, and the Eastern Bloc is using one group and the Western Bloc is using another group. We see that in Yemen. We see that in Syria clearly. Right now, this week, major events in Syria. And Syria, a little small country in the Middle East, but strategic location. That place where once it was the seat of the Muslim empire, the Umayyads. It was opened by the Sahaba, by Khalid ibn al-Walid, under the orders of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. And in the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab, the cities that we hear in the news now, they're all the cities that were liberated by the Sahaba from the Romans over 1400 years ago. And later, Damascus became the capital of the largest Muslim empire that stretched from Spain and Morocco in the west all the way to China in the east. And most Muslims of today, most of our ancestors, regardless where you came from, are the result of the efforts of the Sahaba during that period. Yet you look at this country today and you see in Syria we have many bases for the American troops in eastern Syria, and bases in western Syria for Russia, both air force bases and land and sea, navy. We see Iran in there, we see Turkey in there, we see so many countries fighting over that little land. Strategic location, rich with natural gas and oil. But most importantly, World powers who study history, they understand that if you once were great, you can be great again. That history repeats itself. They know that the people who are descendants of the Sahaba in that area, and you have to remember that over 40,000 of the Sahaba died in Greater Syria, what we call today Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Palestine. Their graves are all over the place. That land that was watered with the blood of the Sahaba, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made a lot of dua for it. Allahumma barik lana fi shamina wa yamanina. And in many ahadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam talks about the end of times that will happen there. And it is Ardul Mahshar, the land of gathering before the Day of Judgment. I'm not going to go into all the ahadith that Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned about how the West and the East will gang up on the Muslims in that land. But we have seen it with our own eyes today, translated. What he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, over 1400 years ago is happening before our eyes, has been happening, and more to come. Because all the historical events happen there. And people who study history, they know the importance of that region. Yet the Muslims themselves are lost and divided and confused. 2 billion, but they are being manipulated. So, putting the politics aside and looking at the religious reasons for what is going on here with the Muslims. First, when the Sahaba came and took over that land, it was clear who they are. They are following the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was dying, he heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, "Get this army." He prepared a small army under the leadership of a young man named Usama ibn Zayd ibn Haritha, radiyallahu anhu wa an abih. Usama maybe was 16, 17-year-old when Rasulullah ﷺ put him in charge of the army. And that army had in it the great Sahaba, much older than him. And he said, you go to Ash-Sham. You go to Ash-Sham. Where in Sham? Specifically to Gaza of today. Was under the control of the Romans. And while the army was camped outside Medina, Rasulullah ﷺ passed away. And Abu Bakr was elected the Khalifa. And then the Sahaba said, things have changed. You don't have to send the army. There are many Arab tribes that have left Islam. And Abu Bakr said no. He said, I will not untie the banner that Rasulullah ﷺ tied, and I will fulfill his order to send the army that he prepared on its mission, regardless of what happened. Abu Bakr was strict follower of Rasulullah ﷺ. Strict, would not move an inch. And he did send this small army to face the Romans, and the army fulfilled its mission. And because he did, the Romans who were thinking of invading Medina and destroying Islam were scared. Said, these people, their leader just died, and they have the courage and the stamina to come and fight. Leave them alone. All the Arab tribes that were leaving Islam, and Abu Bakr sent armies to fight them, they got scared too. Said, if he can send an army to fight the Romans, who are we to? We are in no position to be compared with the Romans. So they lost too. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, within few months, he was able to quell all the revolutions and reunite the peninsula and establish strong presence for the Khilafah. And then start from there fighting both the Persian Empire and the Roman Empire. Because of his commitment to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, strictly, Allah gave him victory after victory after victory. Within his 2.5 years of rule, he established really a new empire. Followed by Umar, who was as strict as Abu Bakr, if not more. And during the time of Umar, in 10 years, he took over the entire Persian Empire that was there for 1,000 years, and defeated the Roman Empire that has been there for over 600 years. The secret is their commitment to Allah, their commitment to following the Quran and the Sunnah. They were not larger in number. Their armies were small in comparison with the Persian or Roman armies. They didn't have superior weapons. The Persians and the Romans had been in wars for centuries. They had, if you talk about horses or elephants or all kinds of weapons that they had, there was nobody to contend with them. But there is a statement for Umar radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr sent Khalid ibn al-Walid, who fought the Persians time and again and again and again, and he won in every battle. He won against the Persians with small number. He defeats big numbers. Allah defeats big numbers. كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله. Allah stated in the Quran, how many times a small group defeats a bigger group by the will of Allah? Because وَمَا النَّصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. That victory is only from Allah. It's not by how many people you have, what kinds of weapons you have. If you're committed to Allah, Allah will be committed to you, giving you help. So Khalid won and won, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq ordered him to cross from Iraq to Syria to help the armies there, and he did, through the desert that everybody would die if they go through it. He did something no general ever did in history. And he went and defeated the Romans in the west side, in Syria, in Homs, where the war is happening today, and in Damascus, the capital of Syria today. And this general, this leader that history never seen anything like, Umar ibn Khattab decides to send an order and remove him from position as the head of the Muslim armies, and appoint Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah radiallahu anhu, one of the earliest Muslims, to be the leader. And when the letter came, initially Abu Ubaidah hid the letter, didn't declare it. But then Khalid found out. He said, what did Amir al-Mu'mineen send? Where's the letter? He read the letter, removing him from power and putting Abu Ubaidah. He said, I'm out, you are my boss now. Look at how committed he is. He didn't say, I'm the general, I won. Just like these generals in Sudan, other places where they're fighting and fighting, killing Muslims to stay in power. He didn't stay in power for 1 second after he learned that. And the reason that Umar did that, he said, I want to prove to the Muslims who started to think that the victory is coming because Khalid is the leader. Because Khalid is so brilliant at war that every battle he fought, he won. Even the one against Rasulullah ﷺ in Uhud. I want the Muslims to know, Umar ibn Khattab said, radiyallahu anhu, that the victory comes from Allah, not from Khalid. And that's true. That was his only point. So people like us don't start thinking, if we have Khalid ibn al-Walid, we could win. If we have Umar ibn Khattab, we will win. No. We will win if we please Allah and Allah give us victory. We will win not because we have large numbers. And we will lose even if we are 2 billion. And if we have all the riches of the world. Because we disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us today. When the Sahaba were few but committed, Allah gave them victory against all odds, against the biggest 2 empires at the same time. And when we became the most populated religion in the world, and we see our division and disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we lost everything. That all these nations today, these superpowers, occupy Muslim lands, put bases in them, and destroy Iraq or Afghanistan or Sudan or Yemen or Libya or Syria or Lebanon, or nobody can stop them. Why? Because we, the Muslims, became enemies of ourselves, divided into at least 2 groups. People who want what Allah ordered, and people who are hypocrites, who are there supporting the enemy against their own people. And you see it clearly across the Middle East, across Muslim lands. You will see that almost all the Muslim governments are not serving their people. They're working as stooges for Western governments to please Washington and London and Paris. They are hired employees getting paid salaries. Today, the US, our government, pays the governments across the Muslim world, each one $1 billion or $2 billion. That goes as salaries to the top leaders, the president, the ministers, the parliament members, the generals in the army, to keep the status quo, to keep Muslims poor, to keep Muslims fighting. They give them weapons not to fight against outside enemy, but to subdue and kill their own people. This is classical right now throughout the Muslim world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described it in Surah Al-Hashr. He said, أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ نافقوا يقولون لإخوانهم الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب لئن أخرجتم لنخرجن معكم ولا نطيع فيكم أحدا أبدا وإن قتلتم لننصرنكم والله يشهد إنهم لكاذبون لئن أخرجوا لا يخرجون معهم ولئن قتلوا لا يقاتلونهم لا ينصرونهم ولئن نصروهم ليولون الأدبار ثم لا ينصرون. So this phenomena repeats itself in human history. There are believers and there are hypocrites who claim to be believers but they're not believers. And they are the real enemy. As Allah stated in Surah Al-Munafiqun, He said, إِذَا جَاءَكَ الْمُنَافِقُونَ قَالُوا نَشْهَدُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُ اللَّهِ. If the hypocrites came to you, they say, we bear witness that you are the messenger of Allah. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُهُ. And Allah knows that you are His messenger. وَاللَّهُ يَشْهَدُ إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَكَاذِبُونَ. And Allah is witness that the hypocrites are liars. And then Allah tells Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, هُمُ الْعَدُوُّ فَاحْذَرْهُمْ. They are the enemy, so be careful of them. They are the enemy. The outside enemy that you know and recognize and see is easy. But the enemy within that looks like you, speaks like you, tells you lies, and stab you in the back, that's the enemy that you have to be aware of and careful of. In your health, if your body is healthy, if you don't have disease inside, virus inside your body, your immune system can defend your body against outside viruses. But if you are infected on the inside, it doesn't matter if you are sitting in a clean area, you're going to be very sick and you may die. The hypocrites are virus on the inside of the body of the Muslims. Their loyalty to outsiders, the enemies of Islam. And they are parasites that are living on the body of the Muslims. They steal billions of dollars of the wealth of the Muslims for their personal accounts. And their people are poor and starving to death. They want to be in charge of governments, but they will not serve their people that they're in charge of. They keep them in poverty to rule them. If their people raise their heads, they chop their heads off. They imprison them. You compare this on every Muslim country that you see right now, you'll see it is mostly true. So the problem of the Ummah today is not, oh, the enemies are outside and they're strong. They're always there. They were always strong. That wasn't any different from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba. There were two very powerful empires, and the Muslims were few and weak, but they were strong on the inside. They had dealt with that problem of hypocrisy. Today we have large number, but we have so many hypocrites within the Ummah that are hurting the Ummah. So Allah stated, haven't you seen to the hypocrites? They say to their brothers, those who disbelieve from the people of the book, that if you were moved out of our lands, we will move out with you. If you are fought, we will fight with you. They'll fight against their own people. And we will not obey anyone but you. That is the case today. So the colonial powers, Britain pulled out after World War II from India and Pakistan and Egypt and Iraq and Jordan and Yemen, but they didn't pull out. They replaced their direct armies and presence with their stooges, the munafiqeen that run those countries. And their orders are from London. And when Washington took over after World War II, their loyalties became, and marching orders come from Washington. They don't do things because their people need something, and no, they go against their own people. You saw what happened in Afghanistan after 20 years when the Americans left. The Afghan government that was there, put together by the American troops, run away before the Americans. They left with the money. Why did you leave? If now your country is free, if you truly the government, the legitimate government, serve your people. No. They weren't there to serve their people. They were there to take the wealth of those people and left the people in poverty. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us what no political analyst would give you. He gives us the facts. Why things are happening? Because what we have in our hearts. We shouldn't go by the labels and the names of the people. We should go by the descriptions of what they're doing. If they are acting as hypocrites, aiding the enemy against their own people, we should know that they are the real enemy. It's treasonous what they're doing. So when we look at the events that are unfolding and feel like confused and why and how, we should know it's from us. أولما أصابتكم مصيبة قد أصبتم مثليها قلتم أن هذا قل هو من عند أنفسكم. When a calamity hit you and you say, why did this happen? You say, it's from you. Because Allah doesn't wrong anyone. We violate our relationship with Allah, then we lose. Allah promised, إن تنصروا الله ينصركم ويثبت أقدامكم. If you give help and support Allah's deen, Allah will support you and establish you on the earth. If you turn your back on Allah, Allah will leave you to your means and you will be defeated. Therefore, as Muslims, we have to be honest with ourselves, be critical of what we're doing, analyze how we can improve our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to be truthful and honest. On personal level, when we deal with each other, many times you see hypocrisy being exhibited. The Prophet ﷺ said, Ayatul Munafiqi ثلاث إذا حدث كذب وإذا وعد أخلف وإذا اؤتمن خان. The signs of a hypocrite is three. If he speaks, he lies. If he promises, he breaks his promise. And if he is entrusted with something, he betrays his trust. And you can see how many people on the individual level and the community and government level, they're doing that. So this disease of hypocrisy is killing us, destroying us. We need to clean up our acts. If we expect change in our world, we have to return to Allah. We have to make tawbah. We have to ask Allah for forgiveness. We have to become sincere in our ibadah to Him so that we move away from hypocrisy, from nifaq. We don't want Muslims by name, 2 billion. If we have much smaller number but real Muslims, real believers, the world will change. And we start with ourselves. We can see what's happening with others, but it is our responsibility to change ourselves. Allah is not going to change our condition until we change ourselves. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. When it is Jum'ah, we see the masjid is full. When it is Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, we don't see people. That's a sign of hypocrisy. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the person that doesn't show up for Fajr and Isha are only hypocrites. The masjid during regular prayers was like Jummah for the Sahaba. You think they didn't have businesses, they didn't have work to do? They did. But they had their priorities right. They knew their salah, their meeting with Allah is more important than meeting with their clients. If we make Allah least important on our list, we will be least important on His list. If we want to be priority on His list, we need to make Him the top priority on our list. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما. One of you is not a believer until Allah and His Messenger are more beloved to him than anything else. And we can go on and on and on to elaborate on this concept. We are in dangerous territory. I have to worry about my heart, about my iman. It's not about our numbers. It's not about our education and degrees and money. All of that doesn't matter if we lose our heart. If we lose our relationship with Allah, we will still be weak and defeated. It is amazing that people who don't have Iman and they have such a mess in their lives and society, they are stronger than us. They're ruling the world. And we, the ones who carry the Quran, we're the ones who follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are being played like a soccer ball. Several people asked me this week about the events, the unfolding events in Gaza, in Syria, in Sudan, in Yemen. You know, what's going on? What's going on is very simple. We are not living our deen. We turned our back on Allah, on Islam. We say we are Muslims, but we don't act like ones. We don't live like ones. Islam is just a name or a label for most of us. I can tell you there is 5 times the number of people who are here. They're Muslims out there, they don't even come for Jummah. And you think that people in this country, in government or the media would care about us? They can see and feel that we are not important. Allah said, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Don't be like those who forgot Allah, so He made them forget themselves. They are the rebellious ones. So I want to conclude by this. The details in politics may change, may be different, the names may be different, the times, the places are different, but the basic rules are the same. 1400 years ago or today. إن تنصروا الله ينصركم ويثبت أقدامكم. If you forget Allah, He will forget you. If you help Allah, Allah will help you. If we achieve this, everything will come back in place. It's your choice. It's my choice. Do I want to be a believer or a hypocrite? Do I want to claim Iman just to show off to the people, or do I want to be sincere and do what Allah expects me to do? That's the question for each one of us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا كما أمر، والصلاة والسلام على خير البشر نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. I'm sure that some of us get offended if we hear the word, oh, munafiqeen. I'm not accusing any one of you of nifaq. I'm not. But you know, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, and you all know his place in Islam. He is right after Abu Bakr. There's Rasulullah, there's Abu Bakr, there's Umar. And Rasulullah ﷺ said about him, if there is a prophet after me, it would be Umar. Many things he said, and Allah revealed Quran to match exactly what he said. With his leadership and in his time, in 10 years, he opened the world. Allah opened the world for him. But that Umar used to ask Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman radiallahu anhu, who was the secretary of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who kept the secrets. Rasulullah told Hudhayfa the names of the hypocrites before he died. Umar went to Hudhayfa multiple times and asked him, I ask you by Allah, did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam put my name among the hypocrites? And Hudhayfa said no. He said no. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if Umar take a path, Shaitan will take a different path. He said, no, your name is not among the hypocrites. He was concerned about that. But some of us, I'm sure that I'm not a hypocrite. Umar al-Khattab wasn't so sure. He was worried. I should be worried. You should be worried. We should clean up our hearts. Shaitan will deceive us. Shaitan will tell us we are great. We're absolutely great Muslims. But it's not about what we think of ourselves. It's what Allah thinks of us. What Allah knows about us, if we are sincere or not. If we are truly believers or we have hypocrisy in us. That's the real worry, the real enemy for each and every one of us and for the whole of us. Sometimes we worry about what we eat and what we do and what we say. Worry first about the sincerity of your heart, why you do it. Why you pray? Why you fast? Why you give sadaqah? Are you doing it for Allah or to show off? Are you doing it to please Allah or you're doing it for other reasons? So please don't get offended if we talk about hypocrisy. Because the evidence in the Ummah is clear that we have a problem, internal problem in the Ummah that's eating us up and dividing us and creating all of this pain and suffering and loss. And it's not going to go away until we fix it, until we fix our egos and our hypocrisy and get rid of it and submit totally to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, surrender to Him, fulfill the meaning of the word Aslamtu lillahi rabbil alameen. I surrender to the Lord of the worlds. So this weekend I want you to really do a personal review. Think about your life, what you're doing, and see how you can improve your relationship with Allah and become sincere believer, because it will impact your life, change who you are, and make things better for you and for the Ummah. Each one of us can improve, and I call on you to do this homework.